Welcome, I'm Nina Gryphon, and this is the Astrology and Magic channel. Today we'll look at the astrology of week 3 of August 2024. First, I'd like to say thank you to all of my patrons. I appreciate all of your support. If you would like to become a patron and get access to my monthly Magical Elections ebook, which teaches you how and when to make astrological talismans, as well as to learn about astrology and magic through exclusive and early release materials and videos like this one, please go to patreon.com/Nina Gryphon. On August 12th, Mercury will have his evening set at 2 degrees Virgo. Mercury enters the sun's beams now and will remain there for about 2 weeks, hidden by the brilliance of the sun's rays. He is an evening or occidental planet now, placed in a feminine or yin sign, Virgo. Those are both indications of a more reticent and demure Mercury, one who withholds and reserves his powers. When he emerges, it will be a different story, but Mercury now is highly magical, yet hidden. He continues to be a change agent, more chaotic than usual since he is retrograde, but during this 2-week period he will act covertly. Especially with the agricultural sign of Virgo, we can now think of Mercury as acting mysteriously on the seed in the ground. It's reminiscent of the famous parable of the sower in the Gospel of Matthew. The sower spreads the seed far and wide, and only some of it falls onto fertile earth, but when it does, it is for some 100-fold, 60-fold, and for others 30-fold increase. In the Gospels, Jesus explains that the seed received into the good ground means the person who hears the word and understands it, and therefore bears fruit. Mercury is the word, the logos or spirit that not only acts upon the universe, but is the building block of the universe. So we can think of Mercury in Virgo entering the rays as the period after we have encountered the spiritual influence symbolized by Mercury, and now it is unseen but working underground invisibly to bring forth fruit, which will emerge later. August 14th, Mercury Retrograde enters Leo. Mercury is still under the beams and now regresses into Leo, and in doing so he conjoins the royal fixed star Regulus at 0 Virgo. Mercury now acts on the king, whoever is in the position of leadership, excellence, and power. Something about Mercury's transformative activity is now regal and concerns matters of victory and rule. Mercury's earlier agricultural symbolism now gives way to the wild and dangerous world outside the bounds of human activity. Places traditionally ruled by Leo include areas that are wild, inaccessible, and the home of wild animals. Mercury's entry into Leo now invites us out of our familiar comfort zone into the space where people are not in charge, but other forces govern. August 14th, Mars at 16 Gemini conjoins Jupiter. This is an important aspect as it concerns 2 superior planets in the most powerful combination of all, the conjunction. Mars is the planet that incites aggression and requires courage. Jupiter imparts good fortune, but also wisdom. On a personal level, these 2 planets can incite quick, expansive action. Jupiter, to some extent, tempers the harmful tendencies of Mars, so outer events can feel fast, sudden, or require quick reactions, though depending on the sign of the planets, Jupiter can sometimes simply magnify Mars's destructive tendencies. In Gemini, the conflicts tend to be more verbal, in the realm of speech and thought, rather than settled with fists. This conjunction can be used to propel oneself forward, as it has a strong drive toward victory. Conflict is very possible now, but courage and spirit is also there, and we can use that to make positive progress. With that being said, August 16th, Mars at 17 Gemini squares Saturn retrograde in Pisces. Thus, the earlier Mars-Jupiter conjunction in Gemini is squared by Saturn out of Pisces, and we have to look at these aspects in combination. The interesting factor here is that Saturn is in the overcoming position relative to Mars and Jupiter. In addition, Saturn is naturally the most superior planet, so he will tend to overcome the lesser and more inferior planets. In addition, Mars and Jupiter are both debilitated, as they do not have major dignity in Gemini. On the other hand, Saturn is also peregrine and retrograde. So this combination of the 3 superior planets both suggests a major event, since that is always what the superior planets presage by their nature, but it's also a very finely balanced détente, where it's unclear who actually prevails. Is it Mars and Jupiter, or is it Saturn? The answer is unlikely to emerge this month, but rather later after more time has passed. We will talk more about Jupiter and Saturn, since they are the heavyweights in this combination, in next week's episode. Mars with Jupiter and Saturn tends to bring thunderstorms and potentially destructive weather, since both malefic planets are involved, and Jupiter is the lord of thunder. In the human realm, this combination likely brings dramatic events in the social and political spheres, the human equivalent of a thunderstorm. We may feel personally unsettled now, feeling that we are not really in control of our destiny, which we usually aren't anyway, with external influences coming in to make a big impact upon us. Certainly our stability may be tested now without an immediate resolution. August 18th, Mercury retrograde at 27 Leo squares Uranus in Taurus. This is a moment of sudden, unexpected, and even shocking change or transformation. Uranus adds the element of shock to Mercury's magical powers, so this aspect is unlikely to bring a smooth transformation, but rather a dramatic quantum leap from one state to another. It's important now to keep level-headed. August 18th, the Sun at 26 Leo conjoins Mercury retrograde. Sun and Mercury conjoin approximately every 2 months, and apart from the new moon, this is the most frequent conjunction that any of the planets make with the Sun. If you watch my forecasts, you know that I espouse the traditional view of conjunctions with the Sun as a moment of purification for a planet, like metals in a high-temperature furnace are purified of any imperfections. Mercury has a special relationship with the Sun because the two of them are never far away from each other. Mercury can never be more than 28 degrees away from the Sun. Conjunctions with the Sun thus relate to the theme of burning away impurities in the other planet. This relates to the yogic concept of tapasya, which literally means burning up in Sanskrit. Tapasya is the practice of austerities that are set to burn away not only accumulated karma, but also the seeds of future karma, as well as the ego itself, which is an obstacle to the reunification of our soul with the divine. These austerities really involve anything that takes one away from the pull of the mind and the body. So as Mercury conjoins the Sun, we have the opportunity now to perform tapasya should be an ongoing, regular practice, but these conjunctions with the Sun allow us to deepen our practice and maybe do a longer or more significant session or a more intensive technique. At these times, our practice is enhanced by astrological configurations that reflect and support our efforts. This conjunction is especially notable because it happens in the domicile of the Sun, Leo, where the Sun is full of its natural qualities of sovereignty and royalty. Mercury is retrograde, so it is halfway through its synodic cycle. This is the high point of the cycle that began when the Sun conjoined Mercury direct. The current cycle began in Gemini in June when the Sun conjoined Mercury, and it is now peaking in Leo as they conjoin again with Mercury retrograde. So this cycle is very much about change and dynamic transformation, even magic in a way. The fact that it's peaking in Leo tells us that this change will most obviously and overtly manifest in the realm of leadership and rulership, which are associated with Leo. August 18th, Venus at 17 Virgo will square Jupiter in Gemini. The two benefic planets in hard aspect can represent tension between the pleasure of the senses on the one hand and the spiritual path. You may recall that Jupiter in Gemini stands for spiritual paths or teachers who are unorthodox and are outside the accepted norms of society. Venus in Virgo is very much in the body and interested in the good things that incarnation in the body can bring, perhaps through healing techniques or other means of enjoyment of the body. So we are now dealing with that age-old dilemma. Which path forward is better? Jupiter is in the overcoming position relative to Venus, so he makes a stronger case. But with both planets in signs of debility, they both have an unusual or different interpretation of their respective arenas. Thanks for watching. I'm Nina Gryphon, and this is the Astrology and Magic channel.